Hello everyone, and thanks for stopping by to Scrap and Craft with Terry. Today we're going to do a little file folder insert, or it can be a standalone folio, whichever you would want to use it for. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you like my video, I just ask that you give me a thumbs up and check out my other ones. So I already cut my file folder, and I cut it at 10 inches wide by 9.5 inches long. Now you can make this any size that you want. I've already inked around the outside and where I'm going to put my pockets up at, and I scored my pockets at 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches all the way across, and then just fold that up. Now before I fold it in half though and glue my pockets, I'm going to cut just a little tiny bit out of this. And I highlighted all of it so you could just see where I was cutting. Don't want to cut too much. So I'm just cutting on each side of my score line, or my ink line. Well, the score line also, but my ink line. I cut this side just a little tiny bit more. There. And then I can just pull that right off, and I think I left a little piece. There we go. Now we'll see how that works. So I think on the ends, on the edges, maybe I should just barely cut a little tiny bit, just like a sliver. I'm not going to cut them at an angle. I'm just going to cut them. And then when I get up there, I'll just angle it barely. I don't want my pockets to be smaller than necessary. Okay, so doesn't even really look like I did anything on this side, but it's not showing on the outside, so I think that'll be just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and re-ink where I cut them off. And now I only have to ink the outside, because we're not going to see the inside. Now, I kind of thought after I started making this that I might have already done something like this. And I actually think I did, but if it is the same thing the first time I did it wrong. So we're going to make for sure that we do it right this time. I'm trying to decide if I want my corners rounded just a little bit. I think I do. And that's just barely, but I think that's good enough. So then the length for this is going to be, after I fold my pockets up, 7 inches, and closed it will be 5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do the inside before I do the outside. Now these are going to be my inside mats. Now, when I did this before, I was supposed to make thumb notches on this paper before I glued it in for my pocket, and I ended up just gluing the whole page down. So then I had to think fast. So, and I think on the outside, I'm going to just barely round them. Generally, I round more, but I think on this one, I just want it just a little bit to cut the edges off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick both of my papers together, and I'm going to do a thumb notch. And I think I'm going to use my bigger punch because it's going to be up kind of high to the top of the page. So I want to make for sure that we know that thumb notch is there. And I think that should be okay. So when I glue these in, I'm only going to glue the 3 sides. Just down each side and across the bottom. So how's everyone doing today? Today we're getting some rain. First rain we've had in quite a while now. So we really do need a little bit. And let me see. On this one here, I think I need to cut that little knot, or that little outside edge, so I'll have to do that on my other one. I hope I'm not putting this right up close to the camera. So I'm just going to try to make sure that I have like an even border around it, and my borders generally don't come out really even, and I don't even worry about it because it's not that important. So then we have a nice long pocket up here, and let me round this side just barely. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. And the paper that I'm going to use for the outside of it, I just recently used in a previous video. It was one of the journal pages that I made, but I thought, my thoughts was that it would make a nice set. So you can, even though you've used your paper once, you can use it again because it doesn't matter. I'm going to try to make sure that I have them halfway even. And there's our next pocket. Now we can go ahead and glue these up, and I'm only going to do each side. Hopefully I don't have that glued in too far. I'll make sure my pockets open, or my pockets, let my tag slide down through. Okay, so now we have pockets down here, and let me pull these back up real quick because I want thumb notches in these. So I'm going to just try, and I'm not even going to try to do that. I'll put these back to back and cut my thumb notches. And I don't think on these I have to have such a big thumb notch. Good thing I pulled my glue or my pockets up when I did. Now I want to try to make for sure that I get this about even. So I'm just going to make a little line right here to tell me that that's the center. And we'll just hope that it's not off too much. So let's see. Nope, looks pretty good. So we'll just ink this and ink this. How many of you, when you're working on something, know that you have to do something, but you forget to do it until after you've glued it down? I have numerous times. All right, now we can go ahead and glue our pockets back down. There we go. Then on here, I'm just going to glue the whole thing down. I'm deep in thought over here. Not really. So, is anybody making, especially working on fall projects, or I see some are also already doing Christmas stuff. I'm not ready for Christmas yet. But sometimes when you're going to sell something, well, that didn't get put in the right place. When you're going to sell something, you have to work on it a little bit sooner. There's glue on that, so it's not going to let me cut it. We're going to have to let that be. There. Now hopefully I don't have the little in my little circle punch. Okay. Now we have tags for here and tags for here. So we're going to work on our tags. Let me see, I think because this is a bigger area, I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. Well, I guess I have to let it run down into the bottle. There we go, that didn't take too long. I just put glue in the bottle here the other day, so it doesn't take too long. Now what I should have done was cut these before I glued that down, and I didn't. So we're just going to do them both the same way. So I'll just glue the mat down, and then I'll cut my angles, which is fine. You can do it either way. Generally, I try to cut them before my video. Well, we'll say most times. But I was kind of busy and in a hurry, so I didn't. Then I'm just going to round these corners, and then we'll ink. Sometimes you only have a few minutes to work on something, a few minutes at a time. Okay, so I'll glue the other one and then we'll decorate it. I want to thank everyone for the comments that I get on my videos. I really appreciate it, and I love reading them. Everyone's so kind. So these are nice big tags, so you have lots of journaling space. And I could have put paper on the back with lines, but I think it's just fine without the lines. If you want to add lines to them, you can. All right, now our decorations for our big tags. I have this lovely little birdie, and this says "Stop and Smell the Roses." I thought the colors in this is just so pretty. I really like it. And I'm going to put a couple other birds on my smaller tags. So I didn't have enough birds for all of the tags. So on this one, we're going to blossom and grow. I figured I would just put these flowers. They come from the same paper, and these are just free printables, so you just have to hunt for them. And I'm just going to glue that on there like that. So I think I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on these leaves and put my two sets of flowers together like I want them to be. Then I can glue the whole thing down. Just something like that. I have to make sure I have that stem covered up because I don't want the stem to show. So I think maybe I wanted that over just a little bit. There, I think that's good. So now we can glue that down. I can add just a little bit more glue on there because I slid it just a little bit. And I'm just going to put this like around in the center. So I think that's pretty. And just put this up here. So nothing too super duper fancy, but I think they're pretty. Now I have to figure out which of these toppers go with which. I think these go with this. So I put my topper on. I have to put it this way because the other way it's upside down. So I just cut the little tabs out of leftover paper from these backgrounds. And now we'll put on our little birdie. Love it, love it, love it. Here's that one. And what side? This side. Okay, and we have the front and back of each of these. Now hopefully these fit in here and I don't have to trim them. Let me run my bone folder down through. And I'm so glad now I have a longer one. just to make for sure that these sides are open enough. What I should have done was tested my tags right away when I very first did my gluing. I didn't even give that a thought. So if I have to, I'll just trim them a little tiny bit. Now when you do this, you just want to be careful, because you could possibly tear your paper, and yeah, I've done it before. Okay, let me just trim them out real quick. Okay, so all I did was I just trimmed the sides down more, and I cut my border off, but that doesn't matter. So they should fit in here much, much better. And once they're pulled in and out, you know, they'll loosen up a little bit. So there's them. Then I went ahead and done my small tags while I was off, because like you didn't want to watch that again. And I have my borders on my tags. I did them the same way as I did the big ones. So then we'll slide down in there. Now you can decorate this background. On this background, you can journal on it. If you wanted to write something and put your tag in, you could do that. And then I thought for my pockets, because I didn't want to just leave them plain. It's not going to be anything fancy, but I had these 2 strips left over from the background on the big tags. So I thought I would just glue these on here. And it's another one of them things, you know, just using up your scraps, incorporating it into your project. So I'm just going to put that there. And that there, and hopefully they're about even. I think that's better. And then I'm just going to add one of these little pink flowers. It's not the same color pink, but there's pinks in the birds and the flowers. So I thought I would just add one. And they shouldn't put too much bulk inside when we're closing it. Did I put glue on that? I thought I did. So now my small tags are let me see, 4 and about 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and my big tags are 4 1/8 by 6 5/8. So I'm going to take these out while I do my front paper and my back paper. Probably should have left them flowers off till I got done. Well, let's take them off. And then I'll try to remember to put them back on. I'll wipe my glue off so it doesn't stick to my table. A lot of times Fabri-Tac is a lot easier to get off. It just kind of balls up. Geez, I hope this video is not getting boring. All right, for our fronts, these are the papers that I used on the one project. And I just think they're so pretty. So I'm going to have this as my front and this as my back. Now before I put this on, I have marks somewhere. So this is going to be my front and this is going to be my back. I'm going to use this as a closure. This is just a strip from the paper that I'm using on the front and back. And I want to glue this on so it can come around the front and hold our little folio closed like that. So I made marks back here. So I just want to go ahead and glue this down now. Just glue it out there a little bit. I won't have to leave the whole thing. And then that'll come around and that'll hold our folio closed. So now I can cut this little bit off. And it doesn't matter that it's not straight because it's going to be covered up. Okay, now we can add our papers. And then I'm going to have these little flat back pearls on the front as decoration. So my front is going to go over here. Good thing I had to put that little closure on or I would have had it on backwards. And now if you don't have a file folder, you can, and you have cardstock, you can just use cardstock as your background also. I just like using file folders. Now I should have cut these corners and I didn't, but I'm not going to pull my paper up because I don't want to mess it up. And I don't want to get glue inside my little paper cutters. I love this paper. So pretty and dainty. And it really doesn't need anything to finish it. I'm just going to put a couple flat back pearls on the flowers. And I'm going to put them on here. And that's how we're going to finish these. So I'm going to put my big one in the center. And then one on each side. And I actually think I got these at the same yard sale. Let me hold that up, make sure it looks straight. Yes, I think that's pretty. Okay. Now, a couple little pearls, one on each of these flowers. I'm only going to do the small ones because I just want it to have a little something there. But I don't want it to overtake the flower. There we go. And my Velcro stuck to the back of that. So that's what we're going to do there. I should probably put a little word phrase up here, and maybe I will. So my Velcro sticks so good to everything. I'm going to put it on here. Take the backing off. And these beads aren't set yet, so I'm moving them all around. There we go. I maybe should have doubled this paper. Let me see if I can find a little phrase to put up here. Okay, I found this. Nothing is impossible. So we're going to put that down there. And just fill our pockets up again, put our little flowers on the inside, and we're done. There we go. So let me glue my flowers back down again. Okay, let's see. Cap that up. Cap this up. Okay. Now we can put our tags in our pockets. This one says live wild and free. This one says live beautifully. And then stop and smell the roses. And blossom and grow. So I think this turned out to be a pretty cute little folio. Like I say, you can put it in your journal, or it can be a standalone. So there you go, everyone. Let me know down in the comments what you think. And if you like my video, I just ask for a thumbs up and check out my other ones and come back to see me for my next video. And until then, everyone, have a wonderful day and happy crafting. Bye for now.